Hey Farah, Grape. I told you I'd be back. And I am. And I'm here to commission you for something in the new year. Hopefully, at the beginning of the new year, or somewhere in between there. Now, don't worry. This ain't going to be a 40. This ain't going to be a 10,000, 100, whatever it was. So it's not going to be 100,000 word story this time. We're going to tail it back to maybe 4,500. Yeah. And it's a story that, as I told you in the last audio video, hopefully it's going to be more of a variety. You see, just like you did with Caroline when you introduced her in The Melting Point of No Return, you pretty much opened the door to a character that you could do just about anything with. And if you don't ask me, look at Tile Grey Wolf and what he did in the Ultimate Potion Vacation series. Anyway, when you introduced Carla, and you introduced her more so in this recent big three-parter, you opened the doors once again. You did. I'm not lying about that. And as I thought about it, I said, well, what could we do? What could I commission with that's going to be a variety? It's not going to be so repetitive, if repetitive, because yes, there will be things in there that you've done before, but more on a variety kind of pace. So I thought to myself, what could it be? What could I come up with for a commission? Then it hit me. Carla seems to be new to this, and seems to have the potential to be kind of like the next Caroline. So I thought about it, and I thought, why not have her and Lexi kind of be like, why not have Caroline and Lexi be like teachers to Carla? Have them be teachers. Have them show her what she's capable of doing. Kind of balance it out, if you will. Have Lexi, because this is how the story should go. Carla wants to know more about what she can do with this. So she decides to meet up. So she decides to agree to meet up with Lexi and Caroline. So she could be taught on the potential of what this can do. And so Lexi and Caroline, they agree to teach her. But they agree to teach her if things are balanced out. In other words, Lexi will agree to be a teacher, will agree to help, only if only if Carla is willing to listen to what she has to say, as well as listen to what Caroline has to say, even though Caroline has agreed to be the kind of teacher that will show Carla what to do when she feels one day like she just wants to throw the rule book out and become and do whatever she wants to do and become. But basically balance it out. That's basically what Carla wants. That's basically one of the main plot points is Carla wants to be taught and shown what else she's capable of doing. So Lexi and Caroline, like I say, agree to teach her. But Lexi and Caroline will balance each other out because Lexi will be the kind of teacher that will say, yeah, it's fun to merge with stuff and become one with it, or turn yourself into something and all that, and just enjoy the form that you're in, and even melt down if you want to, whatever. Do everything that you've heard and seen us do. You've heard us do and even seen us do, but there's also responsibility. You have to let Lexi kind of not give her with great power comes with great responsibility speech, but have Lexi kind of tell her that it's fun to do all these things, but you also got to be careful. You got to limit yourself. You got to pace yourself on what you do. You got to limit yourself and pace yourself so that you don't overdo it and you don't ruin your fun. Have Lexi explain that there are times where she almost wanted to give it up, but realized that she has to take her time. She realized she has to learn to take her time and appreciate what she's doing. Have Lexi be that kind of a teacher to teach her to Carla. Let Carla know that, yeah, it's great if you want to decide one day just to become a puddle of ooze, but don't constantly always do it, every hour or minute of every day or whatever. Take your time, pace yourself, think about what you want to be or what you want to do, and you'll enjoy it more. As well as take breaks. Try to just be normal for a while, and when you feel like it, every now and then turn into something that might be enjoyable. Even have Lexi suggest that, hey, like at night when you want to wash up and you want to, let's say, soak in a bath, why not just become the bath? Why not just melt yourself down into water and become the bath or become the bubble bath? It's much more relaxing and soothing. And when you're done, you can change back to yourself and you'll feel more relaxed and ready to settle down for the night. Even have her suggest that turning into a blanket or a bed does the same thing. And she's able to sleep even better in that form. And then here's what's really going to be a surprise. Have Caroline, again, she's going to be the teacher that teaches Carla how to let loose and just throw the rule book out and everything, and kind of encourage her to come up with, transformations or meltdowns that even she wouldn't think of, that only the wildest of her imagination can come up with. Have Caroline be that kind of teacher of, just let it all go, let loose, feel free, just throw the rule book out one day if you feel like it, But also have her be, in the balancing out of things between the two, have her agree with Lexi. Have her basically be like, yeah, it's everything, have her agree with Lexi. Have her be like, sometimes I don't always agree with what Lexi has to say, but she is right. You have to pace yourself. You have to time yourself. You have to give yourself an opportunity to come up with any kind of ideas you could think of what you want to be or do, but don't constantly always do it. Take your time. Have her agree with that. Have her agree that even if you want to let loose a little bit, kind of don't go to an extreme that might make you not like this anymore. Just be careful and everything and go from there. Now, you have Caroline agree with Lexi on what Lexi tells Carla, but you also have Caroline say, but with that said, there's nothing against, and Lexi will agree with this. You'll have Lexi agree with this. There's nothing against letting loose and just throwing that rule book out for one day or for one night, and just doing whatever comes to your mind or doing whatever the heck you want to do or become. And you could have Caroline give her examples. You could give an example like towards the end of the last story that Tile Grey Wolf did. Have Caroline mention that, or use for an example, that one night her and Ryan became a tub full of goo, and that they took turns pushing their faces, making the faces appear on the surface, until the third time where the face that appeared was basically a merging of the two. So, have her use that as an example of letting loose and everything, but, just going all out. Have, Caroline have both give an example of how they let loose sometimes and let loose sometimes when they just want to throw out the rule book. Like for example, have Caroline mention, since she's known for liking to be gooey and melty and all that, have her give an example that we kind of see in a flashback, that when Ryan was at work and she was bored, she decided to melt down into nothing but a bubbling puddle of goo and cover the entire room, and then have her face appear on everything and it have her face appear on all the walls and everything, and have her pretend like, hey, I am now Caroline the house, or basically have her. No, instead have her kind of mention that she, one day when she wanted to just let loose and Ryan was out on a business meeting, that she decided to melt down into nothing but a puddle of goo, a bubbling, boiling puddle of goo that expanded so much that she covered the inside and the outside of the house. And on the outside, you see nothing but a big old gooey face. He's exclaiming that she is Caroline the Goo House, or Caroline the House of Goo. Have a flashback about that, and sort of and almost dreamy, but don't lose herself to the dream. Don't lose herself to wanting to do that again. But basically, to a sense that she's dreaming. She looks back on it with fondness in that flashback, and kind of gives Carla that example of you could do things like that and everything. And then have Lexi kind of give an example too, like that's true, and you can also merge with stuff as well. You could also merge with inanimate objects, like if you want to merge with a chair, or merge with a rug, or merge with a plant. It's relaxing. And just like Caroline would pretend that she is the Goo House, call herself Caroline the Goo House, you could become whatever, or even shapeshift yourself into whatever inanimate object you want. And you could declare yourself as that object, and it's very relaxing. Kind of let them give her examples and ideas, and even through flashbacks as well. So that when we get towards the end of the story, after they've taught her everything, and Carla understands and gives her word that she is going to try to take everything they taught her to heart, they decide to play a little game. And they decide to let Carla come up with the idea for the game. And what Carla comes up with is an idea that pretty much, and this takes a page out of some of the recent stories Prender did, and you can look them up if you want to. Carla comes up with an idea that she kind of likes the melting and all that, but she also hears that the imprinting, merging with stuff, and it, like the wall, is always a fun thing to do, or evaporating or going invisible is fun. So Carla decides that the game she wants to come up with is she calls it the does not exist game, or the non-existent game. In other words, the way the game is played, and Carla will explain this to Lexi and Caroline, is it involves invisibility, imprinting, merging, imprinting, absorbing, if you will, as well as it melting down in evaporation. And she basically tells them, like, let's say, Lexi, you want to merge with the wall, and you just have your mouth appear on the wall after you've merged with it, or your face appear on the wall. I could go up to you and ask, Lexi, how does it feel? And you could say, and your answer will be, who is this Lexi you talk about? There is no such person exists. I am just a wall. I am just Lexi the wall. I am just the Lex wall, or whatever, or call herself, basically say, I am just the wall known as Lexi. There is no Lexi person existing. Have her give an example like that, and even when they turn invisible, like she'll go to Caroline and say, okay, Caroline, let's say you turn invisible. I could how does it feel to be invisible, Caroline? And you could go out and say, who is this Caroline you speak of? Do you see a Caroline around? No. You are speaking to nobody, for I am nothing. And then, stuff like that. And she can even give an example with herself, or let's say I want to melt down and evaporate into nothingness, or nothing but my molecules are just swirling about. You guys could say, hey, Carla, how does it feel? And I could be like, who is this Carla you talk about? This Carla does not exist anymore. This Carla does not exist. I should know, for I am nothing. I am the nothingness known as Carla. Just have them have a little bit of fun, and then have them play, and then after the rules are thoroughly explained, have them play the game, have Lexi be the one that goes invisible, have Caroline take a turn of saying, go first by asking Lexi, how does it feel? And then have Lexi do that. Who is this Lexi you talk about? She does not exist. For I am the invisibleness known as Lexi. And then have her giggle like she's walking away, like it's nothing but a ghostly laugh or whatever. And then have her reappear after maybe 15 minutes or so. It's like a 15-minute time limit or whatever. And then have Caroline go next, and of course Caroline's going to do the melting, and she melts into a puddle of ooze that evaporates into nothingness. And then have Lexi ask her, Caroline, how does it feel? And then have Caroline go, who is this Caroline you talk about? There is no such person. She does not exist. I should know. I am the nothingness that is Caroline. Then have her do the same ghostly laugh or whatever. And then to end the game, and again, her turn goes for 15 minutes. And then to end the game, have Carla merge with the wall, but just have her mouth appear, then her eyes appear above them. And when they both ask, Lexi and Caroline ask her, how does it feel? She can be like, who is this Carla you talk about? There is no such person. I am just a wall known as Carla. Then have her mouth fade out, and then have her do like a little wink as her eyes fade out. Because basically when she merges with the wall, her mouth will appear first when she speaks. And then her eyes kind of half-lid will appear. And then when she says, who is this Carla you speak of, she'll basically go like, when her mouth appears, she'll be like, who is this Carla you speak of? There is no such person. And then have her eyes appear and be like, for I should know I am the wall known as Carla. And then have her mouth slowly fade out, and then have her like do a little flirtatious wink at the girls as her eyes fade out. And then that goes for 15 minutes. And then afterwards, have them both all hug and embrace. And then in a three-way hug, and then as they're doing so, they melt down into a puddle of ooze that slowly evaporates into nothingness or whatever. And then have them both simultaneously come up at and then, kind of like through, kind of speaking through the minds, basically have them do a three-way hug, which makes them melt down into a puddle that evaporates into, not evaporates, let's not do that. Let's have them melt down, let's have them do a three-way hug, and then have them melt down into a puddle, but have them ooze up into a wall, and then have a face appear that's a merged combination of all three, and have the face basically say something like, I think we can make this Carla's idea. Have the face basically say, we are now one. Or have them say have the face go like, where there was three, there is now one, for they have become one. Something like that. Have basically the merged phase basically acknowledge that the girls, and again this makes this Carla's idea to end the story, have the merged phase acknowledge that they have become one. And kind of like a chorusing of the kind of a merging of the voices, have them basically say, we three are now one. Then have the face fade back into the wall and end the story there. Well, so basically that's the concept of the story. That's basically the ideas there. And again, I'm trying to give it a little bit more variety, Farah. And hopefully I've done that. And hopefully you can go with the story and do it in the new year or so. Again, I do appreciate what you did with the last story. I know it was a long one. And I thank you very much for doing your best there. And hopefully this one wasn't as repetitive. So hopefully I threw some variety in there, kind of made it a little bit more different for a story idea. And that's really all I'm going to say. So thank you very much, Grapehyacinth, Farah, for what you've done on the last story and for what you've done this past year. God bless you. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I will commission you, hopefully, around the New Year time. If sooner, I will let you know, but it's probably going to